Welcome to another episode of That Crazy Triangle Guy. Looking at Bitcoin index chart on the 1 hour time frame. We're busting a move here. Bitcoin is a few hours earlier than I had predicted. I thought we would wait until CME futures opened at least at 3 o'clock today before moving onwards and upwards. But since we're breaking out now, we're going to leave a gap down here, which we'll get into in a minute. But I want to point out that we did hit our target here. Not really a target, I just kind of called for a move back up into this range and then onward and upward from there, possibly, or more consolidation here in the triangle. Let me point this out. This orange triangle depicted by the bottom line here, orange line, and this orange and green line at the top. We've been trading in that since the beginning of May. And even before we broke below the neckline of the head and shoulders pattern. Um, and this right here, this recent action down below the triangle is a bear trap. And down below the bottom of the Gaussian channel on the daily, which is depicted by this green arc, we are now back into the daily Gaussian channel. Now, that's not unusual for that to happen. It happens all the time on the daily. And typically when we bust back up and into it, we go right on through and out the top. Now, let's see. Here's the head and shoulders pattern on the 2-day chart. You can see here. And this is the neckline, supported by this low here and this low here. And you can see currently we are right at it. Let's go back to the 1 hour and actually go to the 5-minute to see what we're doing currently. So yeah, on the 5-minute, you can see we just busted right through in one move, right through the neckline. And then you can see we didn't even screw around with the neckline. We immediately came back and started testing the bottom of the purple parallel channel that we've been trading in since the FTX collapse in November, only falling through at one time in March with all the FUD that was being spread then. So now we are back up into it, and this is okay that we've fallen back out and retesting this line here. I mean, we just shot right through it. See? And you know what? I imagine there might be a big battle here, and I would not even doubt if we fell down and came back to the green line here. So that, let's not move that. Remember, the green line is the top of our, or the bottom of our Gaussian channel on a daily time frame. And also, it's about the general area we need to be in order for there not to be a gap on the CME futures. Now, let me go address that right now, because if in fact we do not come back down there, oops, I don't want to be on the monthly. If in fact we do not come down there and close that gap, you're going to hear people talk about it for months and months and months. Well, we got to come down. There's always that gap. We got to come down and fill. Oh yeah, oh boy. And it's not a real thing, people. It is not a real thing. Most recently, we have this gap here in from 20,000, about 20,200, 20,100, and people are calling for that to get filled. And let me go back and point out, we have tons of gaps that we haven't filled. We had this gap from on the way down in June that did not get filled until just recently. So it's been almost, 9 months that gap went left unfilled. We have this other gap back here on the way up. This is in December of 2020. That gap got left unfilled until we came back down and filled it in June of 22 or May of 22. So a year and a half later. Um, and this gap here, is this the one? Yeah, it was like a $1,500 gap. And there's been many others. Now, the reason this gap got filled wasn't that there was some urgency. Everybody up here wasn't going, oh God, we got to get back down and fill that gap. No, just the natural flow of the price. Here's another one right here that got left unfilled until many months later. Now, of course, because people talk about it, when you get anywhere near those gaps, you're going to have these wicks that come down just naturally because people know that they can use that just to push buying pressure out or selling pressure, whichever way you're going. Anyway, enough about the stupid gaps. Where were we? So I want to come back and see what we're doing currently. All right. We kind of wicked below, and yeah, I imagine there's going to be a big battle right here. So we'll just see what happens with that later on. Now let's go to the daily, and you can see here's my green line that I drew that represents the bottom of the daily Gaussian channel. We fell below that. We're coming back into it. I went over in the last video about this turning red. It's not a bad sign. Watch the last video if you want to understand why. And it's actually a good sign. Every time this has happened in a uptrend in the past, we've had a huge move up through it. So go back and look at that video if you have any questions about that. Here is if I zoom out, you can see the purple channel that we've been trading in here, and I've gone over this many times. And here we are at the bottom, currently retesting that for support, heading back into it. Now, I'll get back to, okay, that's the 1 day. The other thing on the 2 day that I wanted to point out is that, and another reason why I expect this upward move to continue here. Now, first of all, the target from the failure of this red line, of the neckline of the head and shoulders pattern, is this green arrow right here, which I measured from the neckline to the top of the head and carried that over from the top of this shoulder to wherever it comes out, which is 34,500 roughly, which is also the key line. Not real major, but it's a line where we've wicked down to as support in the past. There are a lot of different support and resistance levels here that I expect will be targeting. One is this one at 38,000 something. The other was down here at, we've already done this. This was 28.8 and such, 28.8 to 30,000. And hopefully we'll be busting back through that soon. Where was 34.5? That's right around this range right here, where you can see back here it's been resistance and support there. This is on the 2 day time frame, so it looks a little bit different. And you can see it's acted as support here. In around this area, it was support and resistance. So that's the next area I think we'll be consolidating in is 34.5 to 38,000 more probably than not. It, I think, will move up here. You have the FOMC CPI number release, PPI number release, and FOMC meeting all coming out here, where I've drawn these vertical lines. The uh, Hong Kong opening up for retail crypto trade here, and China opening up to institutional trading. This is June 1st. So you got a lot of good news coming up. Now, the reason why further that I believe this move will continue upward, back up to the top of our parallel channel, heading into these dates here in mid-June, and our $38,000 range, more likely than not consolidating in this area once again as we take a break from that move. Is that if you can, as you can see in the past year, heading into these dates where we've had, let me put this on auto, where we've had a CPI number release and PPI number releases. Actually, PPIs have been red, but anyway, we've had big moves, and you can see them on the 2-day chart here, heading in and after those releases. Also on the FOMC meeting date here, heading into these releases here, heading into these releases here. I'm just trying to look at where the FOMC meetings were. Right there's one. Now the exception was April, or actually the end of April, beginning of May. Actually the FOMC meeting was in May. That's right. So that was the exception to the rule. And that's because you sell in May and walk away. Apparently, everybody really was buying into that narrative. Now, that brings me to another thing. Here's our monthly chart, Bitcoin chart, and here's the month of May. Now, if we get back, May has 3 days left to redeem itself, and the target would be 29,200 or so for May to to untarnish its bad reputation. Um, let's see where that would bring us on the daily chart here. 29,200. Huh. That just brings us to the area of the top of the daily Gaussian channel and the weekly Gaussian channel, which is depicted by these red arcs here. The lower red arc is the mean band of the Gaussian channel. The upper red arc is the top of the Gaussian channel on the weekly time frame. And these are representations that I've drawn, so they're not exact. They're pretty damn close. But of course, I don't know exactly where it's going to be in the future. But currently, they're very accurate. So what's really interesting is that the top of the daily and the top of the weekly are meeting up at the right now in the time that we are in right now. And I found that very interesting, but I was unable to find any correlation, any time that we did that in the past. Usually in the past, the daily Gaussian channel was well below the weekly Gaussian channel. I don't know. I couldn't see any correlation there. But this is our next move up. Whether we can do that in 3 days and have the month of May redeem itself is yet to be seen. It's highly possible. So that would be interesting too. But I do believe June is going to be a good month, heading up off of my chart here. It's so high, it's off of my chart. And in relative to what we've done in the past, This isn't a big move. It's a big move to us now, but um, typically the moves that we've made once we've broken the top of the weekly Gaussian channel have been like 30 to all the way up to 90. I think the 3 years, one of them was 30%, one of them was 80%, one of them was 90. It was 90, 30, 80, I believe, was the order that we the percentage moves that we made out of the top from the top of the channel. 30% would take us up to 38,000. So I really believe that's where we're headed in the next few weeks. Um, 80% is all the way up. It's not even registering. I got to scroll down here. Where would 80% be? 80% would be up around 50, 50, 52, 53,000, 90%, 57,000. Now, I think those are, of course, I think those are highly unlikely at this moment. I think we will get there. I think we will continue our trend upwards. We'll just have to gauge later on when we're going to have pull. Of course, we're going to have pullbacks. We might have big. This is a volatile um, asset, so I really believe. I mean, it would be normal to have big, huge pullbacks as we move upwards. You can see here we've had that in the past with the extreme, but these are much more extreme moves upwards and big moves downwards. I think our moves upwards in this um, trend that we're in are going to be much more subdued. Um, we'll just have to see how mass adoption plays out. Okay, let's see what other charts I had here. I think I already went over that. This is the total crypto market cap. I wanted to point out that we're in the same boat here, just outside the parallel channel that we've been trading in since November, and here on the BBWP indicator, which is the Bollinger Bandwidth Percentile indicator. Um, we are about to expand. Who knows how long it will take, but it looks like we're wanting to expand out of extreme lows here, as well as this is the weekly. Well, you know what? I can just. Um, anyway, we are. I'm all the way up here. We are about to expand there. The momentum is at extreme low levels and headed upwards currently. So we're in a very oversold condition. I don't need to tell you that if you own any altcoins. We are at the lowest point we've been other than the FTX collapse zone since all the way back to 2021, the beginning of 2021. So the altcoin market, which is this chart, it's excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. We're at the lowest levels other than this here, and it's extremely oversold. There's no reason for us to be here. I expect to see big moves, especially with Hong Kong opening up to trading. Maybe that'll be the catalyst. So let's see what happens there. I was kind of anticipating that the altcoins might lead Bitcoin in this rally here, but doesn't look like it. So we'll just see what happens there. But all the coins are in the same. I mean, well, not can't say that because I have some coins that are, have performed very well and others that have performed very poorly. But generally speaking, the altcoin market and the Bitcoin and Ethereum market, they're all in the same both. Let's look at Ethereum. What's Ethereum doing actually? Since I made that statement without even having any knowledge, it is on the 5 day. It's not in it's in extreme lows. Yeah. So I just don't have my 10% line drawn on this chart. Yeah, it is in extreme lows. It hasn't been there as long as Bitcoin and the other markets, but yeah. So everybody's looking to expand, and everybody is pointed upward with momentum currently. Um, this is the weekly chart. I don't know if I pulled this up, but it just shows that we've been trading in the top of between the mean band and the top of the Gaussian channel on the weekly time frame. Now this is the Bitcoin worst case scenario that is playing out. Um, as you can, as I called in several weeks ago in my video of the same title, Bitcoin worst case scenario, and it's playing out to a T exactly as I predicted. The only difference is that we did not ever hit 25.3. We hit 25.8. And this was going to be our opportunity to do it. And we are quickly moving away from that opportunity. I don't think it was ever important that we did it. I think more important is a retest of 28.8. Although, who knows how important that is either. Now, whether we come back and do that soon in the next few months or later on down the road, at the end of summer, possibly after we have a nice run, is yet to be seen. And I'm kind of getting way ahead of ourselves here. So let's go back to where we are currently at on the 5 minute chart. And yep, we're just bouncing around in here, retesting it. We are staying above the neckline, which is good, but staying below the parallel channel. Anyway, this should be fun over the next few days. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and also check the comments, because if I see things and I'm not able to, if I see changes or important things, or if I forgot something, I will put it in the comments, and that's that. So, see you next time.